This is Creating Your Encore Career and Becoming a Silver Entrepreneur with your host, Lynn Freest. Lynn will share ideas and expert advice from people that are walking in your shoes and living their encore careers, where they want and at the pace they want. You'll start a company of one with confidence and knowledge to live a fulfilled life of freedom and ease. Lynn is a coach and leadership consultant whose mission is to show senior leaders and experts how to start something refreshing and new after a full career in the corporate environment.
Well, hello. Welcome to this episode of Creating Your Encore Life, where you can do the work you love when you want and where you want. As always, thanks for listening. With an Encore life, you can be creating value in that world beyond just winning that next pickleball game. And again, you can live your dream just as I am. Well, if you're ready to get started right away, please contact me at lynn@lynnfreest.com. So today is episode 201, and it's about living an Encore life. So this is going to be a little different. This is not about an Encore business life. This is about an Encore life in general. So I think I've made a comment before that I've been helping my 96-year-old mother in recent weeks, and she's had limited mobility and things for quite some time. But recently she did have a mild heart attack, which she survived, and she's an extremely strong woman. So she's at home now. She's comfortable and alert, but she does have very limited mobility. Now, I'll say that given all things, she's very comfortable, and I marvel at her courage, her grit. She's certainly not giving up, but on the other hand, she's accepting that this is going to be possibly another transition in life. So it's an interesting piece. Again, this is how the Encore life works. We're caring for parents. We may be caring for children or grandchildren, caring for spouses. But in this case, taking the time to help my mother. My brother is her primary on-site caregiver, and so I help him with that. And it's, again, I think it gives valuable lessons to me. She's teaching me even now. Again, she is a marvelous and a strong woman. So it's just interesting, that ability to be accepting and not giving up, but accepting that things may be coming to a close, as it were. Now, we've spent a lot of time, my family, in these last few weeks with family and friends, visiting with her. And it's interesting as we talk about our shared history, remembering different people, different things, different events. My mother grew up in the Depression out in Nebraska, where they also had a kind of the Dust Bowl going on. So they had relatively little in terms of creature comforts. They had a farm. They kind of ate what they grew, those kinds of things. Didn't even have much in the way of electricity or running water, other than to pump the water out of the ground to feed the cattle and stuff. So it's interesting as she reflects on those experiences in her life. We come from, at this point in life, very comfortable surroundings. And yet she talks about how they had happy times. Life was good. She enjoyed her childhood. She enjoyed growing up, even though, of course, as she said at the time, this was the Depression. Everybody was poor. So it wasn't, you didn't notice anybody else, what they were doing, because you're all in the same circumstance. So again, I'll just say, in reflecting on these things and other things, happy times, sad times, often it had nothing to do with how much we had, but it's what we did and shared together. So it's just, again, an interesting perspective, a chance to reflect back on the grander scheme of things, other than building my next funnel or creating a new webinar or whatever it may be. There is a longer scope and arc to history that you just need to keep reminded of. Now, at this point, I will say my mother's in the hospice program, which is, again, provides for caring and comfort for people. And our experience years ago when my father passed away, we had hospice, and marvelous organization. They help you provide comfort, caring for loved ones, recognizing that they may not have that much time ahead of them. But at the same time, again, rather than spending my time learning how to do webinars, I'm learning more about how to do caregiving. So what are the things that can help my mother be comfortable and yet give her a full life to the extent that it's possible? Whatever it may be, how do I help her move back and forth around the house in her wheelchair, or any number of things? What's how do we provide food for her that she's interested in and enjoys? So all those elements of caregiving. And then certainly in the last few weeks, because she did have this heart attack, we've been with family a lot and friends. A lot of people have come to visit. So it's one of those things. We don't always get together, unfortunately, or fortunately in this case, we pretty much all are getting together while she's still with us. Obviously, people always talk about, gee, we never get together until someone passes. We had the opportunity this time to do at least some of that while she's still with us and enjoying it immensely. Some of the other things I'm learning is I'm also an executor for her estate. Not that this is a huge estate, very modest means and stuff, but it's just interesting to learn all the things that need to be done. And again, we have a lot of people we can lean on to make that happen, but it's just thinking about the simple stuff. Like she lived in this house that my father built 70 years ago. And as a child of the Depression, she was reluctant to get rid of things. I think the phrase she said that they had back in the Depression was make it do, use it up, or do without, was how they approached whatever they had in life. And it's just interesting, again, but that means that she has a lot of things that we have to make arrangements for to do something with. So that's one of those little things that how do you just organize that? And then there's obviously some legal issues and things that I've never done before. As opposed to learning how to do Zoom calls, I'm learning to do some other things now. Now, I have come to the realization as we're going through this that I can lean on others, whether it be family members or other people that are involved in all this. They're all more than willing to help. So it's one of those things that, with the title of executor, I might think it's all on me, but it's not. I can involve my siblings. They're very helpful, as well as others. So I have to, again, as a solopreneur, I tend to think it's all about me and what I need to do. In this case, I'm learning some humility and saying others have talents and stuff that I need to lean on and rely on. And then just working with the emotions and the uncertainty of what's going on. I don't know how things are going to play out. So it's one of those things where you want to lean in, and yet it's sometimes tough. What do I do? How do I best support her? How do I best take care of the things in her house? Those kinds of things. So it's both emotions and simple uncertainty of how things are going to play out or when they're going to play out. But it brings it back to, I was earlier thinking, well, I'm getting behind on my podcasts, or I need to work on creating some new funnels or whatever it may be. That's part of why I'm about this now. I'm in the Encore life, and it's about life and not just about business. So I'm trying to create a business to serve others. It's not just about that. So the fact that I have maybe not a pause, but at least a shift in my focus to some extent, that's why I'm here. That's why I have this Encore business and Encore life. What I've found so far is that while business skills technically only help a little in this process, they do help me because I've been learning new things with respect to being a solopreneur, the ability to learn. So I've been able to go out and intentionally learn some of these new skills, the roles of an executor, how to be a caregiver in this context. The overall things that I've learned in life and stuff do come into play. And to some extent, even the emotions, because I think we've talked a lot on my podcast and other things about the emotions of transitions that we make, whether it be from corporate life to retirement or into other kinds of things. In my case now, it's this transition into some caregiving. And so it's one of those things that I think the journey I've been on as a solopreneur has also helped me manage those emotions and now at least understand these emotions. Another thing while I'm learning how to do some new things, I'm also thinking about the why. Why do I do the things I do? Why do some of this stuff that I've maybe put on pause right now, I'll be able to go back and rethink some of that and say, okay, why was I doing that? Sometimes we can get focused on the activities of business and life and need to step back and say, okay, we need to maybe take a brand new look at some of this stuff. And why am I doing this? Why am I trying to have this service to help others thrive in their Encore life? I still think it's great for me. It's great for others. So I think there's value in that. But again, maybe there's a bit of a pause here while we deal with my Encore life or my mother's Encore life, because there are so many things I want to do in my business and my ability to serve others. But, again, right now my focus is on caregiving and preparing for the next transition in my mother's and our lives. Life and an Encore life has seasons, and those seasons can be in terms of weeks or months or years. And recognizing that this is one of those seasons has been important to me because it, I guess, gives me the freedom to say, okay, this is not the season for whole-scale business building. It's the season to focus on other things. There'll be a season later where I can laser focus on business building, but that's not right now. Another thing I've noticed is that it's easy to fall into a lot of worry and uncertainty about what might be next, not knowing how to do things, all that. I will find, and this has been true both in business and in this part of my life, activity helps. So if I can get specific on, I'm going to do this, I'm going to call a lawyer, I'm going to call a healthcare provider, I'm going to cancel this subscription, whatever it may be. Stepping through some simple things helps, as opposed to having those minutes or hours devoted to just worry and uncertainty. Activity seems to help. And then also in this process, I have tried to lean into both what's needed, what I'm called upon to do, but also to intentionally find some rest and recovery. So I've taken, and I'm trying to help, like my brother, who's the primary active caregiver, and others. My family has stepped in to help both my brother and I take a step back on some of this stuff and get some rest and recovery. So in anything, and it's true whether you're building a business or you're providing caregiving, trying to have some element of rest and recovery, I think, is really important. Just reflecting back for a second here, I started my Encore life in 2015, so it's 8 years ago. I've learned a lot. I've accomplished a lot. I've had both successes, and I'll say at least failures to the extent that I haven't had success yet with them. I've helped others during that whole time in a variety of ways, maybe not technically in starting Encore lives or Encore careers, but I've helped people move forward in whatever it is they were working on. With that, I guess I'm both pleased and satisfied that I think I've, in general, had a positive impact. Now, I think I can have even more of an impact moving forward, and we'll focus on that. But true, as I've said this whole little session, the impact I'm having right now is important too. It's not on business. It's not on helping people with Encore careers. It's on supporting my mother and family. And I think we'll just end with that. So again, with an Encore life, you can be creating value in the world beyond just winning that next pickleball game. You can do the work you love when you want, where you want. If you're ready to get started today, please contact me at lynn@lynnfrias.com. Or have it over to my website, lynnfrias.com. You can maybe sample a few podcasts and get on the email list. So again, as always, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.